Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Liana Lianoff. I'm the founder and president of the Global Positive Health Institute and also a prior past president of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And welcome to this continuing series on the role of meaning, purpose, and spirituality in health and well-being. And I'm delighted to have in this segment Dr. John Kelly, and he is the founding president of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine and was inspired to do so after his work in epidemiology, where it seemed like this was a very needed area to promote healthy lifestyles for prevention and treatment. He is a lifestyle medicine intensivist and is training doctors and others in this area and has been a shining light for us all for many years. So welcome, John.
Thank you, Liana. It's good to be with you.
Uh,
I look forward to seeing the series that you're putting together. I thank you for doing it.
well, thank you. Let's dive in. And the first question is a big one, is a biggie, which is kind of what is the core driver for your life purpose, your sense of purpose in life?
Yeah, that is a big question, and I have to admit I spent some time thinking about it. I appreciated you telling me some of what we were going to talk about. I would have to say, though, that for me, it is definitely my sense of mission to help prepare our world for the coming of Christ. I'm a believer in the scriptures, and as a Seventh-day Adventist, I'm really my focus in life is to help people know and love God.
Well, it's wonderful that you have a very well organized feeling deep inside you about your primary driver. Thank you for sharing that. And so then related to that is what are some activities in your life that give you the sense of meaning and connectedness and purpose?
Yeah, I really appreciate that question because, the thing that drives our purpose in life is manifested in things that we do, things that we uh, say and do, and so forth. And to me, I would say that if I were to put flesh on the bones that I described in my first answer, it's it's really helping people. Uh, we all, well, the majority of us, at least in America, have a sense of faith, some form or shape. I haven't always been a person of faith. I was an agnostic for the first 20 some years of my life, believing that was the most logical conclusion to a question that couldn't be answered. But then I ran into facts that couldn't be explained except by there being a divine being, and I had to accept those facts. And so anyway, so I believe helping people I get great satisfaction and joy. Um, and along those lines is things, so that's part of being a physician, right? We physicians are trained to help people with a core need, which is health or help when we're sick. Um, but then there's another, and that is teaching, because a large part of healing, as especially those of us in lifestyle medicine know, is teaching. Um, I have some of my doctor friends that are specialists, let's say in surgery or urology or whatever, and well, I treat the plumbing system. What are you treating? And the Lord impressed me. I treat the volition. We lifestyle medicine doctors, we treat the volition because we cannot get the patient to do anything they don't want to do. And so our job is not to make them do it, it's to make them want to do it or help them want to do it and do it. So anyway, I would say helping people, teaching. I also happen to like inventing. I like learning new things and inventing something that's helpful. So I do a whole lot I used to be a software engineer. I still like writing software because it automates things and makes life easier. So I'd
Well,
say that's pretty much it.
Well, that all makes sense. And as you're speaking, especially elements of meaning related to teaching and helping the next generation, as well as helping our world in a bigger way. Even with
Yeah.
your recent response about automation, makes sense that that would feel very meaningful. And of course, it all connects to your overall feeling of life purpose. And then you've already addressed the question that I would normally ask, which is then how does spirituality and religion play a role in your life? So maybe we can now extend it to how does it contribute to your personal well-being?
Yes. Well, again, we're talking about how does my activity or how does my core purpose contribute to my well-being? I
Well,
think,
both your core
well,
purpose and the meaningful types of activities in your life. How did all of that come together to help you in your well-being, emotionally, mentally, physically, and beyond?
yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. I love that question. And I'm not sure I'm able to answer it as fully as I would like, but because it takes some reflection. But I will say that first I'll start with the physical. When I became a Bible-based vegetarian, what does that mean? Well, actually, it's in Genesis. The first chapter of the scriptures talks about the diet that the Creator designed. And I was a designer, so of course I immediately related and I became a vegetarian before I actually started any kind of religious affiliation. And I can tell you, I every year I had always had I would get a strep throat. I don't know what I was doing that was causing this, but somewhere around February in the wintertime, I would get a strep throat. I'd get penicillin and I would get over it and I was good for another year. After I became a vegetarian, I've never had a strep throat. I've never had another shot of penicillin. It genuinely improved my health in wonderful ways. And so that's contributes to my well-being, and that is becoming a student of the Bible. You know, I don't want to seem holier than thou in any sense, but it is amazing to me how little many Christians or people of faith, whatever their faith is, know about their actual teachings of uh, of their higher power, of their God. So I like to. Well, after all, I got a piece of advice from a surgeon that I really liked when I was a medical student, and he said, "I wish you'd become a surgeon. You'd make a good one." And he says, "But since you aren't, let me give you my best piece of advice." He said, "You should become expert in the primary literature of the area of your interest." And that is so helpful. When I read about a paper, a research paper, I don't read somebody's comments about it. I don't read the abstract. I read the paper, and I think about what subjects were studied, etc. And I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. Most people in medicine would. And so, in a similar way, that's how I look at the Holy Scriptures. Is I don't want to read a commentary. I want to read and see what does it say and how does it say it. So it helped my mental well-being, I believe, because and emotional, because I learned in my study of the scriptures of a creator God that loved me, loved this mankind, this world so much that according to scripture, he let his son die for my sins. And if you don't think that gives you peace of mind, it's a wonderful uh, aid to mental health. And then talking about the spiritual, um, I believe I've seen this in so many of my patients, whether they are believers, have any faith, or don't have any. I see a hungering for a peace that it seems to me is best satisfied by a sense of harmony with their God, if they have if they have a God or a higher power. I have to admit, in America, I have far more interaction with people of faith than I do, say, atheists. But I have some good friends and patients who do not believe that there's a higher being. And yet when I talk to them, this is so interesting. Maybe you have the same experience, but when I talk to them, after, we get to know people. You have to first, people don't care what you know until they know that you care, right? So after they know that I really am interested in them, uh, I have had conversations, and they all seem to have this desire to leave the world a better place. And so um, if we can help them tap into that and see that making lifestyle change and helping others have healthy lifestyles, you can definitely leave this world a better place than you found it.
Oh, wonderful. And I love that you're really seeing this as our common humanity, what we all have in common, which is there's a inner goodness in us all that drives us to help ourselves and help others. And that helps our well-being, and the science, and we've just been looking at a literature review, shows that particularly individuals that are needing to cope with difficulties in life, their own even mental illness, physical illness, can derive some strength in a sense of life purpose, life meaning, spirituality, and religion. And then we're now asking that further question: how does that relate to physical health and physical well-being as well? Because we're in medicine and healthcare, we certainly have a lot more research to do to make formal recommendations. Or what we would call sort of clinical guidelines. We're not quite there yet as a medical group, but there's enough there that that's why we're starting to talk about that in the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, asking this question: how do we incorporate these constructs of meaning, purpose, spirituality in our healthcare practices to help our patients? And we'll be writing some papers around that with the caveats that we need more research. And so I'm just curious and asking everyone that I'm interviewing on this series, what are your opinions about how we can best harness this element of life in healthcare?
Yes, I appreciate that question greatly, Liana. And I've given it no small amount of thought, as you can imagine. I know when I first started my first practice after leaving faculty at a university and started up my ambulatory lifestyle medicine practice in a small community. I meditated and prayed on a significant amount of time. How do you do this? How can I best help these people in this community? And what I want to share is that I came to the conclusion that the first thing I needed to do was to understand my patients' faith walk, their spiritual existence, if you will. And it wasn't about me telling them, it was about me listening and asking and learning, you know. And to be honest with you, I find it very satisfying, very fun to learn about other people's um, spiritual existence or spiritual walk. And I I don't have any, thank God, I don't have any sense of, oh my goodness, they're attacking my beliefs. That never occurs to me. They don't even know my beliefs at that point. So and it's not important at that point. But the way I um, pursue this at this point, and of course, as the research comes clear and we have more, shall we say, hard data to base our practice on, I certainly plan to follow the evidence where it goes. But my own approach is I have one question on my lifestyle assessment that asks about their spiritual, how they would characterize themselves. It's a 5 point scale, from being an atheist, an unbeliever, to, belief in there's a higher power, to so forth. And the last one is that they're an ardent student of the scriptures or holy writing. And then as we get acquainted during the admissions, the intake visit, we get to that part of the questionnaire. It's on the questionnaire. And so I comment on the question, or if it's blank, I'll ask them, "Oh, it looks like you forgot this one." Of course, many times they didn't forget it, uh, but nonetheless, and it leads to an opening. Um, and usually, what I will do is I will ask at the end of that intake visit, if or at the beginning, sometimes I'll ask, "Would you be comfortable if I were to pray for healing and for the goals that because I've got what are their goals and for success and reaching your goals?" And I've never had anybody say, "No, please don't." And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make them comfortable so that we can talk about the spiritual things and them to not feel threatened in any way. And I will say this: I also have an exit uh, evaluation in my program. I want to get the feedback from my health guests because, I do these intensive interventions, which have a specific period of time, typically around 2 weeks. And I have often, I don't know, I ought to calculate the number, the percentage, but frequently I'll have someone say, like I remember one guy, Joe, he said, John, you've made me a better Catholic than I have been, I think, my whole life. I'm not a Catholic, but I was honored by that comment. And that's what I think makes for peace. That's what makes for spiritual harmony and productivity. So, let me share one other little thing. I don't know, maybe you don't want to put this on your, but I'm getting ready to make an application to ACLM for a new member interest group for patient-centered spiritual care. And I think it's important that we include patient-centered because that's my simple way of expressing what I'm saying is it's about the patient, not about the practitioner. Um, and it's so all the principles of coaching, motivational interviewing, all the things that we learn, skill sets for helping people to make lifestyle change apply perfectly to talking about spiritual matters as well.
Absolutely. We're embracing, and we know from the science of health behavior change and supporting patients that it is about embracing all those beliefs, emotions, opinions, their life experience. And that's part of that whole person, whole healthcare.
Yeah.
However, we use those terms, we're really talking about embracing everything around that patient. And then, well, I work in the area of promoting the positive side and positive health, how we can look for those as strengths and resources that patients and any individual can turn to as they're looking to change their behaviors, do the right thing to prevent and treat and not only their diseases, but just their overall sense of who they are to become their best selves.
Hmm.
I truly believe in that element of healthcare that can really be increased in how we approach our patients, that we can increase an emphasis in that because traditional healthcare has not paid a whole lot of attention to these areas, and yet they're so fundamental, again, to
Yes.
emotional, mental, and physical well-being.
Yeah, I would,
So
would I would say I was to an indirect sense or way, I was led to understand that it's best not to talk about those things with my patients. But then I was of course, this was in the around 2000 or so when I finished my medical training. And I know since then there's been plenty of studies showing that that's probably not correct. And the surveys of patients that say they actually would like their doctors or physicians, nurses, medical team to pray with them or to speak of those things. I had someone recently, even here at the most recent Lifestyle Medicine conference, the Lifestyle Medicine 2024, after we all got home, this person that I had met for the first time there emailed me and said, you helped me understand things I didn't even know I needed to know. Uh, and it was in a I don't know, a 15-minute conversation over breakfast. So, you know, if we're open and don't have our we've got to get away from the idea that we know exactly what the person ought to do. we don't have, in some cases, we don't have any idea. Uh, but anyway, I really appreciate what you do with positive health. And while I don't uh, think of myself or call myself an expert in that field, in a way, I think all of us who are trying to help our patients make positive lifestyle changes are emphasizing the positive and helping them, uh, see things in a positive light. Because if you feel like a victim, uh, you're already you're already in trouble. You're going to have a hard time. We're not victims. We don't have to change our circumstances. We just need to change our perspective. And as someone has said, right, uh, a difficulty is an opportunity if you just turn it upside down.
Well said. I love that. And so this is a wonderful place for us to end. Thank you, Dr. John Kelly, for joining us for this Meaning, Purpose, and Spirituality mini series. And thank you to our listeners for joining us. And I hope you'll tune in to one of the other videos in this series. Take care till next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Liana.